You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
Well, hello. It is Thursday, December 15th, 2016, just a few minutes past the hour of 10 Eastern, right here on KLRNradio.com, which means it's time for Jenn and Rick. And I have an announcement. For those of you who are not anywhere near Oklahoma, Oklahomans cannot drive in any resemblance of any type of bad weather. We had about a half an inch of, I guess you could call it freezing drizzle. And it literally turned into Drizzpocalypse 2016. So I get off work at 5 o'clock at the day job. So I have to drive about 10 miles north to go pick up the brother-in-law, and then we drive about 20 miles south to get back home. In this trip, normally, since I've been working on campus for the last few weeks, normally takes from about 5 to maybe just a few minutes before 6 o'clock. We didn't get home today until almost 6:45. And all we had was a bunch of freezing drizzle, and I mean, enough to make the windshield a little cranky. Now, granted, as you go further north, it was getting worse. But the thing that was the most interesting was listening to the people on the radio, because, I listen to news radio when I'm driving, and they always have the breaks at, traffic and weather past the 10s, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, at the beginning of my drive north, he's like, please be careful, there are a handful of wrecks across the metro, blah, blah, blah. About halfway through my drive up north and picking up the brother-in-law and about to turn the car around, there are now officially 75 wrecks working through the metro. Please be careful, and if you can avoid it, please stay off the roads. And so we're headed south. We're about 10 minutes in at this point, and he breaks back in again and says, well, at this point we have about 50 accidents working, so things are getting a little bit better, but the up north is starting to accumulate a little bit more. So again, if you can, just avoid the roads. So then, I don't really pay that much attention to it because the brother-in-law and I are talking. We're kind of watching all the people that are acting and driving all crazy because there's a little bit of slick spots here and there. We pass a couple of cars that are turned over. We pass a couple of cars that are facing the wrong direction. No, I'm not making any of this up. And then right as we are turning off the highway, I hear there are literally hundreds of wrecks across the metro. Stay home. And I'm thinking, all of this for a little bit of drizzle on a road. Oklahomans cannot drive. I'm glad I'm pulling in my driveway in about 10 more minutes. So that was the shape of my afternoon and evening. How was yours, Jen? Jen? Uh-oh. It says she's here. I think she has left the building. Jen? I got no Jen. Nice. I don't know what happened. We were just talking. Now she's gone. Okay. We're gonna keep on trucking here. I'm going to try to call her back real quick, so bear with me for just 1 second. And her Skype froze. Woohoo! And the joys of technology. So anyway, back to my story. Because now I have no co-host. So anyway, yeah, fun drive home. Really crazy. Thought about finding, the scary, suspenseful music they play, anytime anything bad's gonna happen on TV, like the dun 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 dun. But then I was looking, and apparently iHeart's yelling at us for playing too much music, so the show's been denied. So I'm like, we probably shouldn't do that. Hey, here she is. I think, maybe. Hello?
Hello. Well, my Skype stopped responding, and I had to force close the program. So I could still hear you, but it wasn't letting me do anything. And you couldn't hear me. It wouldn't even let me close out of the program. So I had to force close it. So anyways, here we are. We're back again. Yeah, your day was much more interesting. And I know all about that winter weather, the slightest of winter weather causing mayhem. Here in Austin, there are lots of bodies of water. They cross around the city, and most of the city, because of how it was laid out in between the waterways, any sort of a highway travel at all is all built very high up in the air and over water, and lots of bridges, almost entire, miles and miles and miles stretches of highway are bridges. They're up in the air. So anytime we even slightly get ice or freezing rain or anything, it's pretty disastrous. Some of it legitimately so, and then a lot of it driver error. So yeah, but we luckily were not that cold today, so I didn't have to deal with anything like that.
Oh yeah, so it was fun. I mean, literally, a trip that usually, it's a bit of a trek, so it takes usually about 15-20 minutes to get off campus, then about another 10 minutes to get to the highway, then it takes me about 10 minutes to get down to get to brother-in-law, and then we got about a 30-minute trek going back the other direction. And tonight, what usually takes maybe close to an hour took almost 2, and it was just crazy. And I'm just thinking, I don't know. The thing that kind of tripped me out was when he started talking about literally hundreds of wrecks across the metro, and I'm like, this is not that bad. Now, granted, I'm further south. The furthest north I went anywhere near the metro was into Moore. But that is still part of the greater Metroplex, and he was talking about wrecks even in our area, and we saw a few, and I'm just driving through this going, there's nothing here. What is causing you people to drive like morons? I don't understand. But anyway, it just reminded me of, back when the earthquakes around here just started and they weren't happening every 5 minutes, and people would put the memes up with the little lawn or the plastic yard chairs that were knocked over as like, the great earthquake in Oklahoma of 2013 and I survived. And now everybody's like, dude, they happen every 5 minutes. It's not funny anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. When all of that kind of started, it was like, wait, what? I mean, I've lived in California, so I had grown accustomed to mild feelings of quakes, but I don't ever think about it when you think of Middle America. So I always thought it was funny the first time my grandma called and said, "Yep, well, felt the earthquake today. Had a couple things fall off the windowsill." Like, okay, well, there you have it.
Yeah, people used to get mad at me because back when they first started, I'd always post something sarcastic on Facebook. Be like, in every household affected by the earthquake this morning, honey, was that me or was that, did you feel that or did the earth just move? I was like, no, it was an earthquake. Shut up, dude. Go back to sleep. The earth did not move. Everybody's like, yeah, you always got. But yeah, I'm king of the corny jokes on Facebook, so what can I say? So lots of interesting things going on in the news. Apparently, Trump has settled on a Secretary of State pick, and it is not Romney, which actually kind of made me a little sad. Of course, all the Trumpkins are like, see, we told you he wasn't going to pick Romney, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like going back and showing them screen captures of what they said just a week ago. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah, I think... unfortunately, he didn't choose Romney. I wouldn't have blamed Romney for saying, oh, hey, no. But, it would have been good, I think, overall for conservatives and for the better of a functioning government if Romney had gotten the spot, for sure.
I mean, the thing about it is, there's all these stories coming out now that apparently the only reason that Trump even dangled it in front of him was to try to get Romney to apologize, and of course Romney refused to apologize, which doesn't surprise me because it's not like Romney really had that much to be sorry about. He was being honest with how he felt, and again, it was a surprise to me that Trump even made the offer because it flew in the face of everything that he said or did during the campaign. It wasn't really a surprise when I found out he wasn't going to give the spot to Romney. But of course now all of his, as I'm borrowing from Susan Wright at this point, all of the Branch Trumpidians that were ready to jump off the ledge when they thought Romney was going to get the Secretary of State job and be like, you've sold us down the river, are now like, Trump is great again. And I'm like, really? Can you guys just pick a side? I don't care. If you think he's awesome, then run with that. If you think he sucks, then run with that. But just quit with the, oh my God, we're all going to die. Oh, he's great again. Oh, we're going to die. No, he's great again. Oh, we're going to die. He's going to sell us down the river. But he's great again now. I mean,
this is what happens when you have, you have people that have no conviction. So they got sold a bill of goods by a candidate that had no real principles or values and was going to change however way the wind, blows. And so they're having to try to keep up. So, and surprisingly, there are a lot that aren't even fazed when he does say or do something that is completely opposite of what he'd said before. They just roll with whatever it is he says and just keep supporting. It's crazy.
And the funny thing is, he can say stuff that's completely opposite of what he said 5 minutes ago, and they're like, oh, this is even better.
Yeah, or they make some sort of roundabout spin of a connection in order to be able to claim that it's still, what they wanted and what they voted for, which is just, I don't even know how you do that. I don't even know how your brain can operate that way. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. So, little bit of a fun fact. Did you know that today is Bill of Rights Day?
I did know that, and I almost forgot, but then the great Justice Willis on the Texas SCOTUS reminded me with his multiple postings about it today. But, what a day. Why is this not a holiday?
I don't know. I mean, I could use an extra federal holiday because then I'd get another day off work. Just saying. Oh, but yeah, I mean, it honestly probably should be a holiday. On this day in 1791, the first 10 amendments of the Constitution were ratified, which means that this should have been a day that, as far as I'm concerned, should have been a holiday. I mean, come on, this was the date that we affirmed that there were rights that no government was going to be able to take away from us, and we enumerated those rights in a document for the world to see. And there have been plenty of folks that have copied that behavior since that time. So I honestly really, other than making a joke about, hey, sounds like a plan, I get another day off, I really don't understand why some of the more historical days are not holidays, because
this is so utterly monumental. It really is. Like, I think we take for granted how that the Bill of Rights, those 10 amendments being codified in a constitution, were just absolutely historic, unheard of, unfathomable to almost everyone in the world in the history that came before them, other than, say, some of the periods of the Greeks. But this just set a precedent that has never, and we've never seen anything achieved like it since, even those that have tried to copy it. I mean, it is utterly brilliant and absolutely world-changing from then until as far as we can see.
No, exactly. And then you get to times like today when people are quibbling over the Electoral College, saying that it needs to be reworked, saying that it needs to be revamped, saying that it shouldn't even exist. And actually, I thought I had some audio pulled up, so I'm going to try to see if I can find it again. It was a clip that I ran last night because I found it, and it actually, because last night I actually was about 2 seconds away from running a replay. I had somebody that was going to come on and be a last-minute guest, and then that fell through. And I was like, okay, so maybe tonight will just be another night that I run a replay. And then I found this audio, and I got so mad I did like the whole hour on the audio. And I'm sure you've probably heard it by now. Most everybody else has. Funny thing is, I ran it last night. All the big dink talk radio guys were running it today. I was like, hey, for what? I'm out in front of you guys. But anyway, since I can't find the audio, we'll just kind of talk about it for a second. There was a commercial that was put together by some Hollywood elites, talking about the fact that they wanted the 39 Electoral College voters that could actually vote against the vote of their state to vote for anyone other than Trump. They said it didn't need to be Hillary Clinton. It just needed to be anybody but Trump. So if nothing else, it could get kicked over to the House of Representatives and they could make the decision. And of course, they were making the, vote your conscience, do the right thing, you guys will be heroes, you'll go down in history, and we're not asking that you vote for Hillary Clinton. The funny thing is they cut that part together from like every person in the video, so I kept saying over and over again, and I'm not asking you to vote for Hillary Clinton, and I'm not asking you to vote for Hillary Clinton, and I'm not asking you to vote for Hillary Clinton, when in reality that's basically exactly what they were hoping they were going to do, is vote for Hillary Clinton. I don't understand how it is that we could have, somebody like this person right here, if I can still find it. Hang on, it may be gone too. The joys of having other people work through stuff here. It may already not be here. Yeah, I think it's gone too. Yep, it's been pulled. All right, so I had audio of Hillary Clinton talking about how we should respect the election during the last debate, and that Trump was being a child, and that, we have a peaceful transition of power, and there's no other country on the planet like us that does it exactly this way, and that it should be respected. And now the entire left is, no, no peaceful transition, do anything you can, drag your heels, make it stop, no Trump ever. I'm tired of the fighting from everybody at this point, because look, unless you're going to do something completely drastic, which honestly there have been some rumors that there may be something kind of weird going on, because apparently President Obama has called a press conference right before he goes on vacation. There's rumors circling that he's going to talk about the fact that the peaceful transition of power will not actually be possible thanks to the potential Russian hacking. Now, I'm not saying whether that's what he's going to say. I'm just saying that's a lot of the rumor that's been going around, is that is exactly what he's going to say. But my thing with that is there's only one group of people that is really to blame if the Russians were involved in our elections, and it's not anyone to do with the Trump campaign. Just saying.
Well, I think the problem with this plea for the electors to be faithless, that's what it's called. It's a faithless elector. First of all, the understanding here, and everyone can say there's never been anybody as bad as Trump, but there's always been people, there's always been a group of people that has thought that, yes, that whoever is being elected is that bad that they should be stopped. There's always that. I think this is on a larger scale than we have, obviously, in recent memory, but asking these electors to this, it has happened so few times in history, and none of them have ever changed the outcome of an election. And actually, the most it's ever been done was when it was 30-something, and it was because the elect had died. So they had to put in somebody else before they could take office. So it's not a good precedent to set. It's been done very rarely. So even of the states that do allow for electors to break from their state's vote, it's just so ill-advised, and the precedent that's set is so dangerous. And also, what is the alternative? So let's say that they don't vote for Hillary and they vote for, say, something that's been thrown out there a lot is that a Republican alternative, since those states did go Republican, is to throw in Romney. And there's even some liberals out there that are, and some Democratic politicians that are pushing for that. They're saying vote for Romney. He's the moral, ethical choice. So, but what do they think that will do? How do you think that is going to turn out? How further divided will America be, if not outright civil war in the streets? If these electors, if less than 40 men decide this election, the whole point of the Electoral College is so that it's not just a few people that decide something. And that's what this would essentially be. So I just don't see how that's in any way good for our republic.
No, but that's the thing. They don't care about the republic. The only thing they care about is they didn't get the result they wanted so now they're ready to try to do something to burn it all down. And that's ultimately what this is going to do. And that's the part that nobody's talking about. We already have the most divided populace I think I've ever really seen in my lifetime. I mean, we're talking about people of color that are now calling to resegregate themselves, that they want their own neighborhoods, their own police forces, their own money, their own banks, all of the things that they said they didn't used to want when it was foisted upon them by the government. Now they say they willingly want on their own. And we have all of these other groups that are doing much the same thing. We now have colleges that are offering safe spaces. We now have all of these different things in place. And all of these other crazy stories that are coming out, one of which actually I read today that was one I definitely wanted to bring up. There was a story of an Uber driver who was actually driving around two off-duty police officers that had been out partying that night, and he had realized that they were off-duty cops. Neither one of them were armed, but because he was uncomfortable about police officers being in the back of his car, he dropped them off in the middle of nowhere because he didn't want to serve as cops. Now, this goes hand in hand with another story that I saw yesterday, where a police officer who was attending a university as a part-time student did not have time to change his uniform before he went onto the college campus and into his classroom. And he was apparently he triggered one of the students, who then had the professor speak to the police officer and ask him if there was any way that he could cover his uniform and remove his sidearm. And when the officer refused, he was asked to leave. This is the world this is the world these people are helping to create. Yeah, this is getting out of hand, but it's, they just feel like it's so simple, because the problem is not just that they think that they don't like the results and that they want them to be different and they want to undermine the results of this election and therefore undermine the American people, but they also actually
believe that they are morally and ethically superior in this judgment, and that's part and intellectually so as well. And so they don't view it as some sort of kind of sneaky, shady, or even, a possibly dangerous action to take, and that there could be all sorts of, repercussions that we don't even know of in the future if something like this were to happen. They don't think about that, and they don't really care, because they are so sure that they are right about this, and that they are doing the patriotic thing and, even the heroic thing. They're calling these electors brave, and that they would be heroes if they saved us from the results of this election that were voted on in 51 separate presidential elections that become the Electoral College entire election. I mean, people forget about that. We don't have one national election. We have 51 separate contests. That's how this goes. That's how this is settled. It's so that no state can overrule everybody else, and that, or that no popular vote can overrule everybody else that didn't feel that way or voted for different interests. And but they know better. They know better than you. They know better than the guy in Nebraska, and they know better than the guy in the desert in California, and whoever else that may have voted for Trump, or at least not for Hillary. They know better, and they are going to make sure that this happens, and they're going to call themselves patriotic for it, and they're going to call any elector that defects and votes in no faith, they are going to call them heroes.
But that's the thing of it, though. All of those different things that you just outlined are the reason why we need the Electoral College. Because if not, I mean, look, I understand that, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by some supposedly crazy wide margin. But if you take Los Angeles County away, she didn't. That's my point. In all of these places, you're talking about the fact that on paper, she won 15 counties. And now, thanks to Jill Stein, even some of these counties are being called into question, because Jill Stein kept saying that she wanted recounts and she wanted this and she wanted that. Well, guess what? The recounts have found something, but it wasn't what people expected. It's why she's suddenly trying to backpedal from the recounts, and it's because they're actually figuring out that all of the election fraud that we've been talking about for the last 8 years on the side of the Democrats was actually true. And there are certain places where there were more votes than there were people that would have been able to vote in the first place. And all of that is now slowly starting to come to light, but suddenly nobody's really talking about it anymore.
Yeah,
because we're
there's
talking
some very
about
obvious ballot stuffing that has gone on, and it has been filed into some reports especially there in Detroit. It's been filed and will go on record. So it's not going to just go away, though the media has declined to continue to cover it because they didn't like what the results yielded.
Well, yeah, it's not just that, though. I mean, the media not only declined to cover it, they started talking about something, again, that we already knew might have been a possibility, which is that the Russians may or may not have been in some way involved in this election. But let's face it. Can we just be completely honest for a second? Because another thing that really ticked me off the other day was when I saw a tweet from President Barack Obama talking about how Donald Trump and his people had sat idly by and knew that the Russians were helping him by attacking Hillary Clinton, and he did nothing. What the hell was Donald Trump supposed to do? You are the sitting president. You have the entire government at your disposal, and you did absolutely nothing about this supposed Russian hack. Do you want the person that is ultimately to blame for this hack, if it exists, is President Barack Obama?
And then he says, and then it comes out from NBC Nightly News today that the Obama administration thought Clinton would win and didn't want to risk potential cyber war with Russia. So they knew about this, and they did nothing. And they are the ones that are responsible for protecting our elections and our government and our citizens. And they didn't do anything. So, but because they thought that the outcome would be favorable to what they wanted, and it wasn't. So now this is an issue, and now the blame's getting thrown all various places, and we don't even really know what is true yet. I mean, there has not been an official investigation report released. Contrary to popular belief, the CIA has not publicly sourced anything. There have been some supposed anonymous leaks or whatever, or people, just quotes from people leaking info about some of the things happening in the rooms there, discussing all of this and looking into it. But there has been no official word from the CIA or any other government agency that is investigating this. So we just don't really know a whole lot yet. And Russia's always scary, and we absolutely should take it extremely seriously. But we don't. I'd like to wait to see what they really discover before we start asking for heads to roll.
I mean, and exactly. And again, I'm not saying that I don't want to know the truth. I want to know exactly how far Russia was involved in this election cycle. Because we need to know so that we can make sure that it doesn't happen again. But the only people that should have egg on their face in the entire situation that we're in right now is the Obama administration. Because not only did they know about it and did nothing because they thought the results were going to be what they wanted, they're also the same people that for the last 8 years told us that climate change was the biggest enemy that our country faced. Even though they are fully well aware that places like Russia and China view cybersecurity as cyber warfare. It's not an issue with them of, well, we're just going to hack in and it's just harmless fun. No, to them it's another version of warfare. And we've known this for a long time, and yet we have not done what we've needed to do to shore up our own defenses against this new form of warfare. So even if the Russians did the things that we say they did or that we think they did, when honestly at this point the evidence is about as conflicting as global warming, because you go to NASA's website, it says one thing, you go to the National Weather folks and it says something completely different. So it's no different than the FBI and the CIA, because they're both like, well, yeah, the Russians might have been involved, maybe, but we're not really sure what they did or what their motives were. But this is an anonymous source that says this. The FBI is like, anonymous? No, we don't do anonymous. So no, we're not gonna hop on board with you with that. And that's been my problem with this all along. All I want to know is the truth. The truth was never supposed to be a partisan issue. If the Russians were involved in it, then we need to do something in the future to make sure that they cannot be involved in it again. But this isn't something that should derail an entire election, because, again, the biggest issue with this is no matter what the Russians didn't put Hillary Clinton's server in a bathroom. The Russians didn't force her to use an unsecured server to communicate things that would have made it really easy to know where Ambassador Stevens was. I've gone over this multiple times on America Off the Rails with someone who understands how this stuff works, with the type of work that they do, and that person on the show specifically said that they took one of the documents to their data control people and said, with this document that was put out on WikiLeaks, with this document, could you figure out where Ambassador Stevens was? He said, yeah, it'd be no different than you going into a strange town and asking somebody where the closest Walmart was. With enough hints, you can get there, because there are protocols in place. And that has been my issue with all of this all along. No matter how the information got out, no matter who made it get out, the issue is it never should have been where it was, because it put everyone at risk. Everyone was at risk every time any communication that involved our government, our travel plans, our ambassadors' itineraries, etc. was put out on an unsecured server. It put untold lives at risk, and that is a problem. So, well,
and then it was further put at risk with them admitting now that there was that Podesta and Hillary's campaign may have fallen prey to a simple email phishing scam. So, that's a mistake. That's not a hack. That's a mistake. And if that also dumped a trove of info for anybody, then it was ripe for the taking.
Yeah, but again, that's my whole point. We're talking about people that have information that is detrimental to the entire safety of the country at their disposal and at their fingertips, and they can't even keep from falling for a phishing scam.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, even if you think the email is legit, if you're going to change your password, you don't click the link in the email. You go to your settings and you change it that way through your actual account. Don't click the link. Never click the link.
Security 101, man. All right, so believe it or not, because we've been rolling right along, we've actually rolled right through the break. So we're going to take a really quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk even more about Russian hackings, Russian trolls, and all the other crazy stuff that's going on in the news. This is Jenn Rick. We'll be right back here in just a couple minutes.
And so, my my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Hey folks, I want to introduce...
Protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
All right, folks, welcome back. We are still live, but we are down to about 15 minutes at this point because we completely blew through the break and then had to pay the bills anyway. So, this is just a topic that I don't think is going to go away because now I'm flipping through Twitter while we were on commercial and everybody's talking about this press conference being held by Obama, and they're like, what is he going to say? What is he going to do? Because, again, there are rumors swirling all over the place that at this point he is actually going to speak out against the possibility of a peaceful transition of power since the Russians apparently had their fingerprints all over this election. And that's dangerous. That is 10 times more dangerous than any of the rhetoric that the left was complaining about with Trump. It's no different than the nuclear option that Harry Reid did when they had control of both houses, where they took the ability to do a filibuster for appointments away because they didn't want the Republicans to be able to stop Obama's appointments. It was a very short-sighted positive step for them because now they don't have any way to stop Trump's appointments, which is, I think, another reason why everybody's looking at this going, we have got to do something, even if it flies in the face of everything that we believe in, because this man, for whatever reason, cannot be president. And please do not misunderstand me, because I did not vote for the man. I didn't want to see him as president. But the simple fact of the matter is you cannot take the system and turn it on its head and expect everything to be okay. That's not how this is going to work. Just to kind of put this in a bit of a perspective for you. And this is going to be just kind of a bit of a visual. Let's say that you are on a really large cruise ship and suddenly those ships usually turn really, really slowly. They have to, because there's hundreds of thousands of people on board. There's tables, there's chairs, there's furniture. Well, let's say for the sake of argument that one of them suddenly winds up in the middle of a war zone and it has a torpedo bearing down on it, and the next thing you know, the helmsman is just throwing the wheel whichever direction he can throw it to try to make sure that they miss the torpedo. Now, they may manage to miss the torpedo, which is what these folks are afraid of, is at this point that we're about to run headlong into something that we're not going to survive. But what they don't realize is in the attempt to evade the torpedo, they're going to be throwing people overboard. There are going to be things that are going to be broken that'll never be the same. There's just as likely going to be some sort of structural damage to the ship that it still may not survive. All of this because they really don't know what else to do. And this is not that type of a dire scenario. Now, if we were really staring down a torpedo, then yes, by all means, hell yes, please start turning the wheel. Let's see if we can get away from it. But that's not what this is. The November 8th, 2016 was not the end of the world. I don't care what anyone tells you. Donald Trump is going to be president unless someone does something crazy. And if they do something crazy, then all they're going to wind up doing is making the situation 10 times worse than it's already going to be. Because no matter what, we have elections for a reason. Even Hillary Clinton, when Donald Trump was, well, I'm only going to trust the results if I'm actually the winner. If I'm not the winner, then I'm not going to tell you whether I'm going to accept the results. I'm going to let you be surprised later. I'm going to keep you in suspense. And Hillary Clinton's like, now that's just dangerous. And now we have the entire left in a complete meltdown mode. And even some folks from the right that are like, well, Trump's dangerous. We already know that he's in bed with the Russians. He's putting half his cabinet is going to have connections to the Russians. It just needs to stop. Stop the rhetoric. Take a breath and actually start looking at what's going on around you before you put your tinfoil hat on any tighter. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, just the same way that we need to let the election work, we need to let the processes work once he is in office, and all of these things that are feared, let the impeachment process work. There's a lot of different things, and there's a lot of different checks, and, I know there's not much faith that he'll be held to any of them, But and a lot of that, the Democrats and Obama are to blame. They let the power run wild for the last 8 years, so it's going to be hard to rein it back in. But, we've got to trust in this brilliant system that our founders put in place. And even if that means letting someone that we really don't like and we think may be rather reckless and unserious about this position into office, I think that he's already surrounded himself with a few people, or he's going to appoint a few people that I think are good picks that can help, that aren't destroy America. And when it really comes down to it, I don't think Congress is either. So we have to see, and we have to use the legal options at our, at hand whenever situations do come up, or if he completely goes off the rails.
Off the rails. I see what you did there. All right. Well, believe it or not, we are just about officially out of time. We got about, we got about a 4-minute late start because the other show in front of us ran over. So we got about 9 minutes left. What else do you want to talk about? Your choice.
What shall we talk about? Well, let's talk a little bit about, so there was a piece you sent me the link for, today, and it is an opinion thing, and I was able to roll through. It was Investors Business Daily. It's it's an op-ed type thing, but it's talking about did Valerie Jarrett give the stand down order on Benghazi, and this is something that hasn't been explored very fully at the moment. But what we do know, and what this person, why they lead up to this, we know that Obama was missing for 8 hours. And by missing, he was asleep in his residence is what we mean. He wasn't present in the room. He wasn't there with Panetta and with Jarrett, and finally got there. He wasn't there. And there are a couple reasons that lead people to believe that possibly she gave a stand down order. First of all, he runs everything by her, and essentially has kind of admitted that she calls those shots, which not saying she shouldn't in some ways, but so she maybe has more leeway, and she was with him in the residence and then went over to where everyone was watching the situation at hand while he stayed at the residence. So he may have given her the green light to do whatever she saw fit. And we now know that there were 3 times that a bin Laden kill operation was canceled shortly before the mission was to be taken out. So, and I started looking some stuff up. I didn't even realize our media didn't even really cover this. This has come out. This is actually documented and known that there were several times that they put a plan into motion and it was canceled by Jarrett. And the main reason that people have surmised that she canceled it was because if it failed, it might harm Obama politically. So it wouldn't be the first time she would have called off some sort of stepping in or some sort of action if she thought that it would look bad politically. And certainly the situation there in Benghazi was one that Hillary and Jarrett were both trying to make out to be better than it was, and would make our administration look bad if we had to step in and create a military situation there. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to have a rescue mission, and they were hoping beyond hope that situation would resolve itself, and it didn't, and it ended up being very deadly. So, did she call it off? Is she the one that made the call to not have anything happen, no one go in, and no rescue attempts made? We don't know, but that's what the article is speculating, and it's basically based off of the times when there have been some other major ops that were canceled by her because of political optics, basically.
And to me, that is actually the worst thing about all of it, is if this wound up being caused because of political optics, then everybody involved in it needs to fry. I'm not even going to mince words about it anymore, because the simple fact of the matter is, and I've said this before, I don't remember a time in my life that there was ever a situation like that where we left people in a situation like that to die, and we're just like, Bad for optics. It doesn't matter. Hey, blame it on this video over here. I mean, if you... I mean, and this goes back to the same things that we're talking about now with this administration having the gall to say, well, not sure what's going on with Russia, but it's Trump's fault. I mean, it's a perfect bookend moment for Obama because he spent his entire election cycle the first time in the last 8 years blaming Bush for everything that could possibly go wrong. Now that he's about to be out of office, he's already blaming the new Republican incoming president for a situation that was squarely his fault. No matter how you want to put this, no matter how you want to parse this situation in Russia and also the situation in Benghazi is ultimately his fault. That's why I kept getting mad when everybody kept talking about the buck stops with Hillary Clinton. I know that she was in charge as the Secretary of State. I know that she was the one that set up that particular situation. But the buck doesn't stop with her. It should have, and it did, keep going all the way through to Obama. That's one of the reasons why no matter how hard they tried, each time stories about this start coming out and all of the different interconnected pieces that they were starting to leak out and the emails were coming out, the media had to quash it. Because simply put, if we knew the whole story, there would be no way in hell that Barack Obama would not be impeached. Because there is no way that Valerie Jarrett should have been able to have the authority that she's had during his administration. It's one of the reasons why as soon as Donald Trump says, well, I'm going to make Bannon my policy advisor, that's the exact same position that Valerie Jarrett has held. And look at what she did in that position. This was a made-up position that we on the right used to make fun of. As soon as it was created, we're like, oh my God, he can't even run the country on his own. He's got to make up a cabinet position to put somebody that he trusts right next to him because his chief of staff isn't good enough. And now that Trump's doing it with Bannon, well, it's only to counter the obvious cuck Reince Priebus.
Yeah, no, I think you've really pretty much nailed it there. And I think that he... it is. You are the president. You are the commander in chief, and especially anything that has to do with national security or some sort of military situation, that 100% falls squarely on your shoulders, no matter what the lead up with other people is. Now, there can be situations where, it wasn't directly your fault, but you hired the people that made those decisions. So it is. I mean, this is how it works when you're the boss. It falls on you. You don't get to scapegoat out to other people, but that's what the media has allowed him to do, and they've done it for him. They've given them the talking points and the excuses. I agree with you about, Hillary being at fault for some of it, but also as is, Obama. But I think that in the situation, I've been so annoyed with the situation with the hacking and everything, and all the headlines I've already seen that are like, this is on Trump, and not just about the hacking. There's been 5 or 6 different situations that have happened, and they're like, Trump is the one who da-da-da-da-da-da. And I go, wait a second. Who is Trump president already? Did I miss the inauguration? Because that's what it feels like. I mean, there's been so many headlines placing blame at the feet of himself or the campaign for various things happening, not just in America, but globally. And that's ridiculous. He is not president yet.
Well, they're giving him credit for some positive things, too. I don't know how many times in the first couple of weeks after he was elected. I mean, but let's face it, as it stands right now, he hasn't technically been elected yet because the Electoral College vote has not been ratified. But there have been all of these headlines that, stock market soars under Trump presidency. Is it January 21st already? Did I miss the memo? Did I pull a Rip Van Winkle? Come on. Is it 2017 and I missed it somewhere? Did I sleep through Christmas? He has not been sworn in yet. Now, granted, there is the possibility that the stock markets have been reacting positively because a lot of the folks in the stock market are pretty happy about us having somebody that actually understands business at the helm, or at least pretends to understand business. I'm not sure how much he actually understands and how much he just fakes it till he makes it, but I guess we're going to find out the hard way. All right, so believe it or not, we are officially out of time. So closing remarks are yours, and then remind folks where it is that they can hang out with you when you are not on the radio with me.
Well, I don't think I have really anything left to say. I just wish we could get to the bottom of all of this Russian stuff and move on. And I want the Electoral College vote to be over with. But you can find me at J Homestead on Twitter and JR Homestead on Facebook, and check out misfitpolitics.weebly.com.
And this would be normally when I would be telling you to hang out for the America Off the Rails show coming up next, but we're actually going to do something a little different. We're actually going to run the Tuesday show for Jenn and Rick right after this one, because I fought Drizpocalypse 2016, and it took me an extra hour to get home, and I'm tired, so I'm going to go to bed early. I'll be back with you live tomorrow night for Robinson and Wright, and then we'll have kind of a short week for next week because of Christmas. We will be doing a live regular broadcast Sunday through Thursday. I don't believe we are going to do a Robinson and Wright episode because I have nieces and nephews that we're supposed to be taking to North Pole Village that we were supposed to do Saturday, but it's going to be so cold that I don't really want to take them now. So I think we're going to do it Friday night since the wife and I both have the weekend off. So we will be with you most of next week. In case I don't get a chance to say this again, I do hope everybody has a great holiday season and Merry Christmas, and we will talk to you soon. This is Jenn and Rick. We'll be back with you live Tuesday night. Don't go away. And stay tuned, because in case you missed it, the Tuesday episode is going to be up right about, well, I'd say right about now, but it'll take me a second to get it going. So just hang out a sec. We'll be back.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children.